Internet. So, Lock and Load Publishing brought out a game about 5 years ago called World at War 85. I played the starter kit recently and I loved it. Volume 2 Blood and Fury is coming out as we speak. It is shipping across the US, it is almost in the UK. It may even be going out by the time this video is complete, but it's imminent. And I'm very excited for that title after playing the starter kit. But knowing that Blood and Fury is coming, and one of the scenarios is a mega scenario which relies on the earlier version, I managed to track down a copy of Storming the Gap, Volume 1 in the World at War 85 series. Now this came out 5 years ago, so it's not going to be new to anyone, but it's brand new to me. It came shrink wraps busted and a few little corner dings from the storage and shelves over the years, but otherwise it's unpunched and unplayed. So I'm going to be playing a lot of this in the lead up to Blood and Fury shipping across the UK. So let's see what actually comes in the box. So again, it's a very thick box, 3 inches thick like a lot of the Lock and Load games. But first up we've got the core rules, rule set 2.0. I believe the current version they have on the site is 2.1, and in Blood and Fury you get the 2.1 rules spiral bound, as Lock and Load they've turned to spiral bound for all their books now really. As I've shown you in other videos, they've started using this AI bot system on their website for the rules, so even though it's a bigger book, you don't need to read it all. You don't need to know it intimately because you've got this AI assistant online that can help you. Plus, being a Lock and Load publishing book, it's really not as thick as it seems. So up until there we've got what, 96, 90, yeah, just shy of 100 pages of rules. But the rules themselves are really like lots of big pictures, lots of examples. The text is really big. Not only just give you examples and line of sights, it gives you little sections where it explains the designer's intent behind it. So although there's a lot of pages, the actual amount of rules you need to play the game is nowhere near all of this. And once you've got the basics down, possibly by say looking at Gimpy Gamers videos, good work Nate, excellent videos, you can fill in the gaps using the AI system on the Lock and Load website. It also comes with maps. So this map's got a standard small size, standard hexes. So they're showing the terrain of the folder gap. Lots of trees, roads, rivers, brushes, cities, occasional hills, cultivated farmland, you know, very general mid-European terrain. Unlike the Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, where you also get the X maps, which are, you know, the expanded hex size maps to go with it, Lock and Load Tactical needs that more gap in a way that World at War 85 doesn't. Because World at War 85, the stacking limit is 2 units per hex, and they may have a support weapon, and there may be a leader too. So you're not going to get huge stacks. It's not like in Lock and Load Tactical where you can have 3 squads, 2 leaders, and a tank, and the tank's got a turret on it to show which way it's pointing, and you've got things on the floor above, and you've got the status markers. The stacks just don't get as big, so you don't need those X maps like you do with Lock and Load. So you've got 4 maps that come with the system. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on top of that, 4 alternative maps. So for each map, they've got, let's try and find some matching ones. There's number 3 here. Yep. So for each map they issue, you also get an identical layout, but the winter version. So of course the fields won't be ploughed anymore, some of the rough terrain will be smooth from the ice and the snow, but generally it's the same terrain but in a winter version for a winter scenario. And you've got the next book, which is the Module Rules and Scenarios. So again, a good book. With Blood and Fury, it's going to be spiral bound, as Lock and Load do these days. So this will add on any specific module rules to the game, which are not included in the core rules. So just at first glance, that's very little here. It's well, on page 12 you're into the first scenario, so it's a couple of pages of rule specifics, and then you've got page after page of scenario setups, the formations that are involved in it, the map layouts. You know, so this is a 131 page book, 21 scenarios in it, all the appendixes for your units, and well, who the leaders are. I'm not sure if it's... No, I thought it might have the tables in, but no. So yeah, that's again another thick book, but that's just scenarios to play. And what I do like is, yeah, so they've got the scenario guide. This breaks down the scenarios and the amount of maps they use and which ones are good for learning, and generally the more maps the more complexity, so you can know how to pick and choose which ones are going to be the best suited for your skill level or time available. So it's really handy, that. A vital component. Moving on, we've of course got some dice. Like I said, this has never been used, so they're still in the baggies. We have two big old decks of cards. So here's got some objective cards, here's got the formation cards. Let's break the plastic here and I'll get a couple of them out. So these are all for the United States, these ones, but they break down the unit it covers, the morale of them, the leadership range, depending on whether they're in good order or whether they've been disrupted for leaders. And for each possible formation, there will be a single card, or well, possibly multiple cards to form into the deck. As per my other video where I go through the rules a little bit, the active unit is drawn by pulling these cards seemingly at random, and there will be some other cards mixed in. Like say there was the end operations cards, which cause the end of the turn, possibly before you even had a chance to activate. You get your battlefield events, and well, there's an objective card. So I haven't looked at all the scenarios, so I'm not sure quite where that comes in because that wasn't in the starter kit, but I'll be getting these as and when I need them. Now on to the next thing that Lock and Load absolutely love to provide you with. Player aids up the wazoo. Missile ammo usage chart, speciality triangle reference. So some of the units have a little coloured triangle which represents a special effect. Like the grey can use indirect fire, orange has composite armour, yellow is an elite unit, and it just breaks it down for them here there. On the other side, how the move and fire works, indirect fire abbreviations, indirect fire summary. Again, all useful things during the game. Here's an inventory of the formation cards. That's these cards here, so you can make sure you've got everything, but I mean, where they're still sealed, I'm pretty sure I've got all of them. Also, you've got your West German forces, US, Soviets, East Germans. Here, the battlefield events table. So if you draw a battlefield event card during the game, this will you roll on to see what happens, whether it's a weather change or some of your troops go from a operations complete status to back in the game. Now this would be one that you keep by the board, so you can keep your formation deck there, what you've discarded, and little tracks for the Soviets and Allies to see where they are when return in respect to their off-board artillery. How many missiles they should have, how much the strength of them, whether they've used any chemical weapons, keep track of those kind of things. Another one here, you've got the turn record track, the weather track, which will show you just how bad the weather is, whether or not there's a squall or mud at the time. And again, the NATO and the Allies, so the same thing as just all the Soviets for the off-board artillery and the chemical weapons and the smoke screens, etc. There's a table that covers the weather, possible weather check in here, from level knot of clear to rain to heavy rain to torrential rain and heavy fog, heavy snow to severe thunderstorms and blizzards, and all the effects it has on the different types of fire and the movement, line of sight. Again, very key, but not all the scenarios are going to use weather, not all the scenarios are going to have them, but when you do get those battlefield events, they can just have this to hand instead of having to go through the book. Here's a card to help you with the battle generator system. Like Lock and Load Tactical Battle Generator that I use, they've got a way of doing a point-buy system for your units and setting up different types of engagements. I will try and port my random generator from Lock and Load Tactical over to World War 85, and just having a first glance at this without even reading the rules, I can see it's a very similar system, so it should be quite easy. Here's your list of your modifiers for direct fire. Here's your sequence of play. Well, that's a lot more in depth than it looks like. I did see a sequence of play flowchart which I printed off for the starter kit, which is a lot clearer than this. This has a lot more detail, but I'm not sure if you always need the detail when you get in the flow of it. Every die roll in the series. Well, that's good. Spotter checks, opportunity fire, indirect fire, scatter, disruption, removal, battlefield events. This may be just adding more confusion, but it would be good to have next year for weird exceptions. Here's the holding boxes. So for when you've got headquarters that are ready to be deployed, or support weapons, or things have been suppressed, or you've got casualties, you've got this to keep them on by the side. Unit card reference, which breaks down exactly what everything on each type of counter or card could possibly mean, what the different colours mean. A good quick little reference to look up when you're like, oh, why is that text in green? Oh, let's have a quick look. Oh yeah, it's green AP firepower, that's anti-tank guided missiles, I know that now, yeah. And likewise, all the admin markers, what all those different counters refer to. You've got the national unit table, so this will break down all the different units available in the game, their points values for when you're doing the point buy, any special abilities they have. So you've got one of those for the US, another one here for the US. I imagine we've got a couple more of those as well, haven't we? So Soviet forces there. West Germany, Soviet, there must be an East German one somewhere. I'm sure it will show up. Line of sight example sheet and reference. Things that block line of sight, how you deal with that. So, like I said, they've just got player aid after player aid in Lock and Load games. They just love them, and they're all really useful at some point. Terrain effects chart. Oh, here we go, more national unit chart. So yeah, we've got West German here, East Germany here. Again, these units won't really need so much to do with the game, but when you're doing the design your own scenarios, they're going to be really useful. Another terrain effects chart. Bring down what's obstructing terrain, what's blocking terrain, different movement factors for things. So yeah, like I said, there's what, 20 odd player aid cards. Some of them you're going to be using every single game, some of them you're going to be looking at non-stop charts, and some of them you're going to look at once in a blue moon. But the fact you've got it there and you don't have to go looking through a book for it, they are all useful at some point. And now we've also got the 7 counter sheets, all still pristine and unpunched. As done by Lock and Load Publishing, they were all pre-rounded corners. So here you've got the green US troops. It's got various formations, you can tell by the different colours, and you've got these grey ones which are like ad hoc units that can attach to or any formation really. Full strength side and their reduced side. The grey, so you've got the West German forces. Got some Soviet forces here. Another sheet of Soviet forces, your tanks, your infantry. Oh, plenty of helicopters here. Oh, look, some air support here. Only little truck. And here going to the deep blue of the East German forces. And a few more little East German markers as we go on to the admin markers. Your fires, your burnouts, your different types of minefield, your objectives, your helicopter status, some ops complete, disrupted out commands, all the kind of counters you use throughout the game. Here you've got your chemical weapons, your off-board artillery trackers. This is for that player aid card I showed earlier, where you can track how many you've got. You've got your smoke markers, your missile markers, various things, bridges, disrupted, ops complete, out commands, and a big old stack of wrecks for when your tanks are destroyed. All in all, loads of really beautiful counters. Taking a closer look at some of these vehicles, there's a lot of numbers on these counters. But what's great about this system, as I've highlighted in my other play, is that you do not really need any combat result tables. Offensive capabilities and how your rolls come out are on the counters. The defensive capabilities are on the counters for your target, and you have a couple of modifiers to your dice for a terrain, which you've got to look up here, but you're not consulting like an IFT like in ASL, or you're not looking up a CRT like you would be in classic SPI games. Everything you need is there on the counter, and possibly a few modifiers for the state. So it's a load you get in the box. Shed loads of counters, loads and loads of player aid cards. You've got your dice, got your formation cards for running the game. Your thick old book full of 21 scenarios to play. Your 4 maps, 4 winter maps. And on top of that, you've got your core rulebook, which includes the battle generator. So even when you're done playing the 21 scenarios, you can build your own scenarios using these maps, using all these forces at your disposal. So there's plenty to play with. And I can't wait to get into it. Even though Blood and Fury is just around the corner, the fact I've managed to find a copy of this, and I have all these units, when I do get my hands on Blood and Fury, which I'm really hoping I do get the chance to, then I will be able to play the monster scenario that I've heard talking about. And even if I don't, I've got this game to keep me going. I love the starter kit. The card activation system, I really love it for solo, because you never know who's going to go next. So playing the best choice at each time is really easy, not double thinking yourself too much. I mean, Blood and Fury comes with a proper solo system, like the solo system from Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, that kind of card-driven solo system, which did not come with Storming the Gap. They did release one separately. I probably won't pick it up because, like I said, I'm planning on getting Blood and Fury anyway. And even if I don't, this is a really sensible system for solo because of this activation system. It just works really well for it. Yeah. There's a whole lot of game in here. World War 85. Storming the Gap. This is just volume 1. Volume 2 is round the corner, and there's so much to it. This really could be a forever game. So I will be back when I get this to the table and have a proper play of one of the scenarios. But until then, happy gaming!